Now, more than ever, we need a really good webcam, don't we? Especially if you're working from home and you've got a lot of conference calls and you just need better, more improved quality, and good audio too is very important with a camera. Now, this is where this might come in play. This is the AnkerWork B600 video bar. Now, it does have its own LEDs at the top to make sure that you're well lit and the quality is good. It's controlled by AI, so it will automatically adjust the white balance, giving you the best image quality. The camera, this is a 2K camera, and it does have a 95-degree field of view. That's on the top setting there. You can also scale and adjust that down. You can even get it to do what's called the solo cam mode, where it will follow you around a little bit, which I'll go over in this video. Now, the microphones it has, there are 4 of them. They're built in. It does have AI noise cancelling, and there are 2 speakers either side of it, which are 2 watts. And I will give you a sample of those, how they sound, and some sample footage, of course, in both good light and low light, and compare it to my laptop so you can see the kind of difference you get from an external webcam versus an internal one. Now, in the box with the B600 video bar, you will find this. So it's an address to download the software. So it works on Mac OS and Windows. We do have a little bit of paperwork here, quick start guide and various other things. Then our power supply, which is right here. Now, it does use a Type-C plug. There is a Type-C to Type-C cable just in here too. And then our various different power plug adapters that you simply just slot in to the adapter right here. So we've got an EU1, US, UK. So it is a very solid webcam. It's a lot larger than I originally thought it was going to be when I got it out of the box, but great build quality, very solid. So this does, the light bar here, act as a privacy shutter. So if you do have it sitting or set up on top of a monitor, no one's going to be able to see through the camera, even if they did somehow gain access to it with that closed. When you lift it up, you see the LED light strip at the top. Now that's controlled with AI to get a good white balance, so you're standing out and you're very clear. We have touch controls here, capacitor for the brightness of that light, and of course our camera, which is 2K. Now you can adjust the field of view. By default, the widest it is 95. And this little strip along the bottom, we've got 4 microphones in total with their voice radar, it is called. So it should be able to pick up people up to 2 meters away on this mic here, just as clear as if they were sitting right next to it and talking to it, which is great. I will be testing that out, of course, with the samples. So here on the side, we've got 2 side-firing speakers within here, and that is to manually turn that LED light at the top on or off. And then on the other side, we'll have another speaker just in here. I'll give you a sample in this video too, of course. And then a dedicated button, capacitive, this one, for the microphones to be able to mute those. A dedicated mute button, which is great. Now the stand here at the bottom, there is a thread in this, so the typical size. You're able to then mount this on a tripod if you wanted to do so. Rubber on the bottom, it feels very nice and smooth, the movement here, and then rubber in the inside, and this has a texture to it. So if you are using it with a laptop, for example, it shouldn't slip or move around. There is rubber just in the inside here too, and that does move about. Now the back of it is where you'll find our ports. So we've got the Type-C power in, Type-C data, and another USB port here on the back. And then the software side of things, it is called AnkerWork, their app. Now you don't have to use it, but in order to get the best out of this camera, highly recommend that you do. So Mac OS and Windows 11, which I am currently running here. Now it does have some firmware updates. As you can see, those will come through. They improve things and it will update and do all of this by itself. Just don't disconnect it when it's going to be going through that update. You can see right there it was downloading, but I am on the latest version. That's just a screenshot of it. So the software itself, very straightforward. You can see a live preview of me right now, of course. You can choose your resolution here over on the left. You can adjust the angle and the frame. If you're uncertain of this, you're able to go through and see here what exactly it means. So solo frame mode, I'll demonstrate that in just a minute to you. And you can even zoom in. So that's cropping, of course, but if you decided that, no, I want it to be moved around, zoom a little bit, I don't want something in the background to be there, then it's handy for that. Anti-flicker mode, so I'll just swap over to where we have now the field of view. So by default, it is 78 degrees, okay? fits in quite a decent amount. And 65 degrees, if you want a closer crop, that's there. And then 95. 95, the full field of view, that's a native field of view here. And then it does have the 2K resolution, 30 frames per second. It also incorporates autofocus, and you'll see that when it starts up. And I've not seen any issues with the focus. It locks on people's faces, which is good. And then the solo frame mode. See if I can demonstrate that. Now, I'm centered fine now, but if I was to move over to this side, you'll see the camera, how it's zoomed in, and it's trying to just get me in the frame, or keep me in the frame, should I say. When I go back here, see how it's panning a little bit and just keeping me in the center. Once it sees that I'm more centered now, it'll probably zoom back a little bit too. So this is a handy feature for people that move about a lot. You're in a conference call, perhaps you've got a large desk and you moved your chair around a little. Could be handy. So I'll put it back on. That's the default, the 78 degrees here. And we'll have a look now on what other options we do have. So image quality settings, you can adjust all of that and tweak it. You can even flip the image. Okay, if you didn't like it, you can mirror it now. Basically, that's all it's doing, just flipping it over. And then, of course, that light bar at the top. So I would keep this normally on automatic. I've got it on automatic at the moment, which it has decided that it's bright enough where I am, and the lens is bright enough too with this, that it doesn't need the light. But I can turn that off now, and then, okay, I've got that light bar on the top. So you can adjust the color temperature. You can also do this with the AI mode if you set it on automatic, and put it warm too if you want. That's completely warm, cool. And then adjust that brightness down to dark if you find it too overpowering or it's making it look too white. But again, I would keep that on the automatic. So that is the software. Those are the settings we get, which is, I think, for a webcam, sufficient. It's good that mode it does have the solo cam one to keep you in the shot. But let's have a look at some sample footage now that I've recorded directly with the AnkerWork B600, and we'll listen to the microphones and then later to the built-in speakers. And this is the 1440p setting that I have it set on. Now it has decided that my lighting is sufficient enough to not use the LED light bar at the top. And the room lights, I've just got standard lighting on. I have not turned on my powerful studio lights at all. Are good. Audio quality, what you are listening to is the built-in 4 microphones, which I do think is excellent. So this surpasses my laptop and even my other webcam quality by far here. 1440p autofocus. The other ones I have don't have the focus, and it's 30 frames per second. What I'm going to do now is turn off the lights in here, make the lighting quite dim. Then we'll see how it fares, and if it's going to then use the LED video bar lights at the top that it has. Now looking at this image, you probably wouldn't think that it's quite dim in here now. That's because it's turned on those LED lights at the top, really improving the quality. So let's see now how this does compare to my laptop's webcam that's built in. The difference, as you can see, is day and night in these conditions. This is a Huawei MateBook 14S, which does have for a laptop quite a good webcam, but it's not looking good now, is it? It's grainy and, well, it's only about 15 frames per second. Does not look anywhere near as smooth. So there's a huge difference in a built-in webcam, which is quite a good one, compared to the B600 from AnkerWork. Now, it does have those stereo speakers either side of it, and I think they sound better than most people's laptops would. Most laptops have terrible speakers in them, and these are a step above that. So here's a sample of those 2 speakers at 100% volume. Now has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It's still actively cooled, so there's that tiny little RGB fan in there pushing out the hot air. Now my time testing and using it, I think it is certainly a lot better than most of the webcams that I've tested. I'm talking about then external ones. Older Logitech models that I have, this thing is certainly a huge step up in that image quality and clarity, going from say 720p or even a 1080p one now up to 2K. Just gives us a lot more detail there and more is captured. Now the lighting on there with the automatic lighting with those LEDs at the top works quite well. You can adjust the white balance, manually tweak it like I showed you with the application, which is good. The speakers either side, they're only 2 watt, They're not super powerful, really loud, no, but I think they're still better than many laptops, and they will be better than even some older monitors. And some monitors, of course, don't even have speakers built into them. So it does give you an option at least to have the speakers, which is great. Now, if you use it on a laptop, and especially a smaller laptop, you've got to be very careful. If your laptop hinge is not a very strong hinge, if it's quite loose and it's easy to just flop it right down, then the weight of this camera is one of the cons here. It's a large camera, and it is a little bit on the heavy side, so it can easily cause the whole screen to collapse. As you can see now, that's happened to me. So it is better, I feel, to use it on a tripod, or of course, where it is ideal, is mounted on top of a permanent monitor. And you don't have to worry about privacy later on too, because if you finish using it, you simply just fold down the light at the top, the light bar, and it's closed, and that's your privacy shutter. Even if someone was to hack your computer, unfortunately that can happen, but hopefully it won't, they can't, or they could gain access to the camera, but they wouldn't actually be able to see anything. And then you've got the button on the side to easily just mute it straight away, and you can control on the fly there the brightness just touching it, so you don't need to go into the application and tweak or change that over. You can just do it straight away, which is good. So it does have excellent build quality, excellent image quality, and just a huge step up in performance from any laptop's built-in webcam. This is certainly so much better. It's just that the size of it and the weight of it is the only real con. Oh, and the other is it does give you a Type-C port to Type-C only. So if you have an older laptop that doesn't have Type-C ports and you wanted to use this, or an older computer, you will need to buy yourself or get yourself a Type-A to Type-C cable, but they're not that expensive, very easy to get hold of, so it's not really that much of an issue there. So thank you so much for watching my video here of the AnkerWork B600 video bar.